This is the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast.
Oh no! We suck again!
I'm getting confused. What game are you calling?
I'm calling both games.
It is caught by Kelsey! Touchdown! Kansas City!
Anthony for three. Bang!
How's it going, ladies, gentlemen, and sports fans alike? You're listening to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. I'm Spencer, a.k.a. Spence the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, also known as Carter, also causing a ruckus.
Alright, and on this episode of Ruckus and the Menace, we will get right into our starting lineup, the Eastwood segment of Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Wah wah wah. I don't know.
The Film Room, recapping week 3 of the NFL season in our high heat and figuring out what takeaways we had from other games in our color commentary, rounding it out with the stud and dud, and we've kind of got a couple of things leading up into this episode that had us both kind of venturing around, and some of it good, some of it not so good. I'll let Ruckus go ahead and start.
Alright, so, mainly what I've been up to is, so this Saturday I went to the Guns N' Roses concert at Kauffman Stadium, and my god, it was awesome. They had Alice in Chains, opening for Guns N' Roses, and they played Man in the Box, and that was pretty good. But my favorite all-time song from Alice in Chains, I've only really listened to one of their songs, which is Rooster, which Ain't No One Gonna Die. No. But like, and then also my favorite song, Paradise City by Guns N' Roses, played at the end, because, you know, take me home. I want to go. Someone please take me home. Yeah. And then the concert was over, and everyone was going, hip hip hooray, hooray, hooray. Slash ripped the guitar. Like, my guy had, at one point, a guitar that had 2 like necks on it, and I was like, hell yeah, let's do this, Slash. Like, let's freaking Slash on the stage, my guy. Alex Rose, it was hard to like tell what he was saying, but the beat and the melody and everything, I was like, okay, I'm on board. Like, I understand what's going on here. And then my mom was like, I can't understand what they're saying. And I get her on that point, but part of me was just like, okay, I get this song. I've listened to it enough. I've been brainwashed enough to listen to it from the radio to now. Like, Sweet Child of Mine was pretty good. Welcome to the Jungle was spot on. But Paradise City, that song was really glued into my mind because of a special game from the PS3 days called Burnout Paradise.
Burnout Paradise, yep.
Yes, sir. Dude, that was like burned into my skull. And I even told my parents after the fact, like, that song has just been burned into my skull since the dawn of time. Because whenever you first boot up that game, it's like, and then like you just hear that while you're in the background and just racing and just destroying things in your path. But you just hear that every time.
Guitar Hero also had Welcome to the Jungle and Sweet Child of Mine.
Yes, it did.
I'm
Also,
pretty sure
Slash
they
was on the
also-
cover on that game too.
On Guitar Hero 3.
Yes, sir.
Which was the one where they had Welcome to the Jungle.
Also, I think ZZ Top had Slow Ride as the first song.
No, that's Slow Ride was done by Foghat.
Okay, my bad. There you go.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
But yeah, but I'm pretty sure that they all. I wouldn't be surprised if Guns N' Roses also did Patience or November Rain. Or...
They did November Rain. I don't recall Patience, but it was probably played there and I just didn't recognize the melody or anything because I was just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's
but
one of their more mellow ones.
I feel because like Alice in Chains did some that I didn't recognize, but Man in the Head was a one that
Or
I
Man in the
kind of
Box.
yeah, Man in the Box was one that I kind of didn't recognize until later, but like Rooster definitely, but yeah. Um
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if they did No Excuses. I think Wood's one of their other ones as well. I'm not too sure what they would have played because I don't know the set list, but
yeah, I don't know either, but the the point to get across was I was there for Slash and my guy ripped that guitar. Like that dude still got it and it was freaking amazing listening to him do that solo riff on Paradise City. That was my favorite part of the whole show. um, also, as far as stuff outside of our in real life stuff, I finally just completed the story for Starfield, and I started to play some Payday 3, and I'm keeping up with the Super Bowl race, and I even recorded one for Week 7, which stay tuned for that in a week or so. That
yep,
was a close one.
because our week 6 videos will be releasing this week. Ruckus will be at 10 a.m. and I will be at 11. So there is that.
I'm that special. I'm that good, guys.
Oh, we
Like
well we sent you it. We sent you in first, but we know who has been winning the viewer count.
I'm just causing a ruckus while my man over here is causing a ruckus in the view count.
Yeah, but as for me, today's definitely notable because today was 6 months of the married life, and we tried to have dinner, and something didn't quite settle right with which is, so I ended up like trying to slip and do some research on some PC, trying to find the PC parts, and ended up making up for it with a cookie. So so it worked out, but all the while I was gone, I had the trip to Nashville, so Music City Menace is now in effect as last Thursday, not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before. I was at the Grand Ole Opry, and we had a couple of other opening artists, including James Dupre's Grand Ole Opry debut. And although it was spotlighted by the Oak Ridge Boys, it was kind of overshadowed by someone who was an absolute dog. on the stage, and that band was Scotty McCreery, a former the Country American Idol winner on the same season as James Durbin. He just knew how to make a presence from the stage, and it was Country Classics night there at the Opry, so everybody's playing throwbacks. I mean, the stage was already kind of pumping up when all of a sudden the Oak Ridge Boys was playing Elvira, but the whole entire set for Scotty McCreery, everybody is buzzing. He starts it out and he crosses like just about every single type of country music classic, ranging from like 50s and 60s, even into the 90s, with some of his later picks. So he starts the thing out in the middle with Merle Haggard's Mama Tried. Then goes to Elvis with Suspicious Minds. Then he does a medley right at the end after what was announced was his latest single had officially gone gold. That was the big thing there. We had the surprise appearance from Randy Travis earlier in the introduction to James Dupree, so we actually saw Randy Travis from the stage, or from where we were at. But McCreary concluded his set with Conway Twitty's Hello Darlin', then Alan Jackson's Chattahoochee, John Michael Montgomery's Sold, and then finished it up with Garth Brooks' Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up. And he is just into it, working the stage, and was the only person to get a standing ovation the whole, and that is a rarity at the Opry. He killed it. And I will tell you that it doesn't matter if it's a classic show or even one of his own, standard stuff. If you get a chance to see him live, do it. Because he's that good. And then the next day, we ended up going out to Belmont University. So I was out at another D1 school, and then saw CeCe Winans there. But then the aftermath of that came about, that last week I was laid up with, and the reason why this episode was not done last week, I was laid up with COVID. and I'll be transparent about it, that I had officially found out that I was positive for COVID that morning of the episode. The morning that we were supposed to film, I was laid up, and I immediately messaged Ruckus as soon as I was positive test and home. We're not recording.
Yeah, and I was just like, no worries, homie. I didn't even know that you had COVID. I was just like, okay, cool. We could take a week off.
I gave it specifically to an illness, and I mean, I wasn't explicit with you in telling you that it was COVID until days later, but
yeah, which is fine. You got, even if it isn't COVID, give yourself some rest. Get well soon. It's no big deal.
Oh yeah, and thank you to the audience for bearing with us as well while I dealt with that, and taking that out. And yes, even though you'll definitely notice maybe some weakness in my voice on the week 5 upload, or week finishing the week 5 uploads and such like that I was just getting my strength back from COVID to be able to finish that just in time, and had that ready for Saturday. So I'm glad that I'm back together, that Humpty Dumpty in this case is put back together again, and that we're back to the normal swing of things for the most part. Then from there, but during my time down, I watched the entire first season of The Traitors, and I'm not too sure if you've heard of this one, Ruckus. It's on Peacock, but it basically is a reality TV version of Mafia.
Interesting.
So you've got about 20 people. You got about 20 people that start out in this thing, and it's set in a castle in Scotland. And it basically is this, that they do different challenges to raise the pot of money up to $250,000. So ultimately, but all the while, it's basically over a game of Mafia. So at the beginning of the game, everyone's around this round table, and they're blindfolded. And the host was walking around the table like he's playing Duck, Duck, Goose. And he taps 3 people to start out of the 20. Those 3 are basically the traitors. And the rest of them are the faithful. And the goal is to get the traitors out so that the faithful can win. And they were unable to do that in the first season, but there's a new season coming out I think likely at the beginning of next year. So I'm excited for that one, especially because of who all is on it. But besides that, I kind of caught up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem as well, which wasn't bad. And also the sports that we're getting ready to get into right now. And we go right into the starting lineup. And I'll start with this first one because it's kind of closer to home for me. As this happened just in Winchester, Virginia, about 30 minutes south of where I am. And that Shenandoah University's Haley Van Voorhees became the first female non-kicker as a free safety to play in a college football game, and she also got a quarterback hurry in the game. This is landmark because women have kind of progressed over football really for the past bit of time, with at least 10, 20 years for them playing football at this capacity. And some of them even go on to play some of them in a laundry football league, some of them in a women's tackle football league of some sort of kind, but not very many at the college level are playing, because most of the time they're reserved to playing kicker and that nature. So for her to play as a non-kicker is kind of impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will let you go ahead and take the next one up top with Megan Rapinoe and Julie Ertz capping off their U.S. Women's National Team careers, and I believe both of those were also in wins for the U.S. Women's National Team, and they're some of the best.
You betcha. Yep, Megan Rapinoe retires as a member of the U.S. Women's National Team, and so does Julie Ertz, which she doesn't really specify what was it Julie something besides Ertz? Didn't she go
Her
by
maiden name was Johnston.
There you go.
Yeah, she is the wife of Zach Ertz, who is the Arizona Cardinals tight end.
My wife. But yeah,
But to our main event of the starting lineup.
We've got the MLB, baby!
Yep, and we are into the final week of the regular season for baseball, and a lot has happened.
Also, fun fact, the Royals have only lost 102, which was in a season high. We were thinking it was going to be 115, but it was less than that. Woohoo!
Well, they still have a chance to get to at least 105, and if they lose every single one of them, they'd be at 108.
Aw, thanks for getting my hopes up.
But it's not
okay.
It's not 115.
True.
The A's still have the best chance at losing 110, though.
Come on. Okay, I could probably win a sports bet if I could predict how many losses the A's get.
Yeah. Well, they have 6 games remaining, and most teams will have Most teams have somewhere between 5 and 7 remaining.
Ooh.
So we are in the final week of the season. And in the AL East, my Red Sox are out, which, to no surprise. The New York Yankees are out.
It's
Toronto
no
is still...
surprise I make it tomorrow. Sorry,
Toronto is hanging on to what is looking like the second wild card spot,
Mm-hmm.
although they are given good chase by the top of the AL West. The Tampa Bay Rays and Baltimore Orioles have already clinched their path to the the AL playoffs. It's a matter of who will win the division between the Orioles and Rays. With Baltimore being 2.5 up, I think this race gets solved by midweek. Because Baltimore has 2 with the Nationals and 3 with Boston to go, while the Rays have 2 with Boston, 2 with Toronto, and it looks like actually it might be is it 3 with Toronto? 3 with Toronto? It's
don't
3
know.
with Toronto.
There you
It's
go.
2 with Boston and 3 with Toronto. They will finish up on October 1st. So, the question is, who will win the division? Baltimore or Tampa Bay?
I think
it's gonna
Go
be
ahead.
Baltimore. Yeah,
I
I think
think
it's
it'll
gonna
be
be Baltimore. Yep, as Baltimore. Yep, because Baltimore will finish. It's 2 with the Nationals. And it actually is a 4-game set with the Red Sox at home. Not a 3-game set, it's a 4-game set. And I'm not gonna be able to go. Because it's kind of just timing was not of the essence. But the Minnesota Twins have clinched the AL Central. That didn't take long, as every single team in the AL Central just did not want it. But the hungriest division right now is the AL West, as you have a 3-horse race up there at the top, separated by 3 games. The Texas Rangers, the Houston Astros, and Seattle Mariners are all hanging tough. And yes, we will have either 3 teams from the AL West or 3 teams from the AL East be your representatives in the playoffs. The question is, with a 2-game advantage for the Toronto Blue Jays, do they hang on?
I don't think they have a whole lot going for them, but they could definitely try as hard as they could to hold on. I don't know if it's enough.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. These last 6 games are a judgment day for the AL West, especially for the Seattle Mariners. And that is because the Seattle Mariners play both the Astros and the Rangers, and the Astros are first. Toronto has 3 with New York and 3 with Tampa. And then, just to add a little bit of flavor and mess to the whole thing, I think the Rangers secure the AL West with their three games against the Angels. I think they will have the AL West by the middle of the week. And the reason why is because Houston and Seattle will be too busy beating each other up. And then Texas, if they choose to not rest or have the division still hanging in the balance at that point, will find a way to beat Seattle down. If Seattle manages to rise up and pass the Rangers, this could be quite a fun week for the AL West. As it's just a lot of teams just beating each other up.
Seems a lot like it.
Oh. And what makes this even more interesting, granted that the National League, all three teams at the top of the heat, with the Atlanta Braves, the Los Angeles Dodgers, both clinching their divisions, and the Brewers having a playoff berth, I believe that the Brewers will likely have the division by tomorrow. By tomorrow, I believe the Brewers will have the NL Central. Because the Brewers will have the Cardinals, and it's likely a win in their end. Or win in the division is theirs. But even though the divisions are clinched, it comes down to the NL wild card, where that race is still quite lively. Philadelphia, I believe, will secure the top wild card spot by the middle of the week. But there are currently 2 spots and 6 teams, with Arizona, the Cubs, and the Marlins at the top, and the Reds being 2.5 behind, the Padres and Giants at 5 behind. Will the Padres or Giants be able to stay hot and hang on? Or will it be the Diamondbacks and Cubs holding serve at the top?
I think it's going to be the Diamondbacks and Cubs, to be honest with you, because from my perspective on it, the Padres have kind of had their toes dipped into the water for a little bit too long, and they've just been cold and asking for a towel, but there were just not any towels available that were dry. The Giants, definitely not, because they're also...
Oh, yeah, because the Padres and Giants play each other.
So, like, I think the Cubs have a better advantage. I feel like the Cubs have a better advantage. The Reds have it better. Like, the Reds are, like... you know how, like, Scar in The Lion King, like, pretty much, like, yeets,
Mufasa off
Mufasa thing. Yeah, like, he's using his claw and just going, nope. I think that's what's gonna happen. Cincinnati's gonna probably knock San Diego and San Francisco off the cliff. Maybe they have a tiebreaker between Cincinnati and the Giants, but I doubt it, because I think at this point you're gonna have a tiebreaker between the Reds and the Marlins, and then you're gonna have whomever goes against them, which is the Cubs and Diamondbacks, right? Because don't you have one wildcard team that is the number one wildcard team that goes to face one of the division leaders. Isn't that how that works?
The number. Well, here is what likely is going to happen. The Philadelphia Phillies are going to have the 4 seed. So they are taking on who is the 3 seed in. Yeah, I think they're going to have the 3 seed. Or they're taking on the 3 seed, I believe.
Yeah.
Either that or something. There's something along the lines that works its magic out. Yeah, cause it's 3 plays 6 and 4 plays 5. So the last wildcard team takes on the lowest division winner. And the 2 top wildcard teams play each other. And then from there it goes down to 4.
Okay.
So, here's where I am at. It's going for the Chicago Cubs playoff life. It is going to depend on how much the Braves want to put pressure on the Cubs. If they want to just kind of let up and rest, the Cubs might mess around and take a couple. The Marlins have the easiest playoff stretch out of the top 4. The Marlins have the Mets and the Pirates. They could win all 6 of those. And actually, the Reds have it a little easier. I think we're going to see some game 163s. Maybe even 164s.
That's what I was predicting, kind of, in a sense.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some game 163s, maybe even 164s coming out of the NL wild card, depending on how many the Cubs win. Ultimately, I think the San Diego Padres and San Francisco Giants are going to eliminate themselves. And the reason why is because they're going to be like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, both hit each other in the head with a rattle and knock each other out. That's because they have a 3-game series with each other. And one of them is going to say, hey, if I go down, you're coming down with me. Simple as that. And nothing short of exciting, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see kind of the tiebreakers accentuate a lot of the NL playoffs and the wild card. And we'll be sitting there and Russell Crowe in the middle of the stadium saying, "Are you not entertained?"
Yep. I'm definitely not entertained right now.
Oh, shut up.
I mean, I haven't really paid attention to the MLB since, like, the MLB trade deadline, so, I mean, it's kind of... I mean, for me, it's kind of hard because I'm like, well, like, my team has gone to absolute garbo, but one player on the Royals right now has really caught my eye, and that's Bobby, where he's apparently... one home run shy of going 30 for 30 for the season for his first time, and also being the first
30-30, yeah.
Also being the first Royal ever to do that too.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe he gets one.
Anyways, are we ready for our Stank Eye segment?
We are ready for the Eastwood segment. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And speaking of the National League, this is a perfect segue because not only is the wild card race good, the Cy Young race is really good too. This race is insane. and very, very wide open. Because 6 pitchers in the National League have a case for this Cy Young. And that is Zach Gallen from the Diamondbacks, Blake Snell from the Padres, Zach Wheeler from the Phillies, Justin Steele from the Cubs, Spencer Strider from the Braves, and Logan Webb from the Giants. Any one of these 6 could win it. And honestly, I don't have an issue. Blake Snell, it's interesting because he would win it. He would be one of the few that has won a Cy Young in both leagues. If he gets it. But I think guys like Gallen, Wheeler, Steele, who are kind of really up for within their first multiple opportunities for a Cy Young. Strider. Snell's the only one who's won one before. But he won it in the American League.
Yep, with the Tampa Bay Rays.
And then the not so good. Although we said running backs and I put Mike Williams as a wide receiver here.
That's okay.
The injury bug has plagued many.
Yep, Chubster, Nick Chubb, got the same injury he suffered at Georgia. Jamal Williams with I believe ankle injury, right? Or was it also a leg
You
injury?
mean the first swag Kazakage? Leader of the hidden village of the Den?
Something like that. I don't know that reference, so like I'm trying my hard.
He used it as a Sunday Night Football introduction.
Ah, okay. Now I know.
Remember how I think we've talked about Matthew Judon, and I said the man whose body was built by Taco Bell.
That must have been a long time ago. And then we have J.K. Dobbins, aka J.K. Simmons, which Spider-Man.
J.K. Simmons. Mike Williams was the most recent wide receiver to go down. But
dude, that freaking sucks because you know how many people have him as like a fantasy wide receiver because he's freaking budget Megatron. I'm kind of pissed because I have him and you have him, but like, man, they were like just like yesterday he was like tearing up the infield and stuff, and now he's freaking injured, which pisses me off because I'm just like, dang it, he was so good.
Luckily in the league I have him. I did trade for George Pickens. I also have Terry McLaurin. And I also have this little gem of a wide receiver by the name of Tutu Atwell.
Yeah, Tutu's pretty decent.
Who can be trusted. So I may go into my waiver wire and have a shot at another wide receiver. But I may let go of Goddard or figure out some way to dump him and try and get Sam Laporta if I can, because I'm kind of a little bit more in favor of Laporta right now because he's balling out there, Detroit. And we'll talk about that later because we have something on the Lions anyway. But
all right, are we ready for the downright
ugly? The downright ugly involves the dumpster fire known as the Chicago Bears.
Yes, sir. And it's their defensive coordinator, quote-unquote, resigning due to family issues and health issues. There were rumors about a certain raid of an institution. Of an FBI that the club has stated the rumors were false, even though earlier in the week the week before we put this podcast out, there were rumors that the FBI raided the defensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears' house, which has now been debunked as a myth by the Chicago Bears organization, which people are still wondering if that was just a cover-up or whatnot. I don't know, but that's why in the writing I put quotations for resigning, because that's still really sketchy. And also they said it was inappropriate behavior, so it's like, which is it? Anyways,
whichever it may be, it is. There is some sus activity.
not safe for work.
Well, something along those lines. All right. Now we go to the film room where Ruckus just had a field day last week.
You're
Or at
goddamn
least the last
right.
week we did. And it all started
What happens
with
when you cause
an
a ruckus?
11-point performance. Got 11 to my 7, including getting the 2-pointer with the Jaguars game. And I think you also you got a good amount of them that I have somehow missed. And that was me being aggressive, but also me thinking the Jaguars were better than what I thought they were.
I think that was a freak accident too, because the Texans put a whooping on the Jaguars for some reason. And I was having a talk with one of my coworkers today, and they're telling me like, "Man, the Jaguars really let me down." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Well, they lost against the Texans, which I thought was a bad team." And I was like, I don't know how to answer that. I guess the parody of the league, I guess, but at the same time, like, no one knows really what's going to happen. It just happens. It's freaking NFL.
Yeah. I really think there's something missing. And I think it's got nothing to do with Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence. I think there is something that the Jaguars failed to address in the offseason. And
Well,
I think it's
didn't they just lose Cisco because
I
of
think
an
it must have
injury?
lost a safety, but then I think offensive line there, Although ETN's playing well.
I think it was probably just a jack of all trades that didn't go as planned, probably.
Yeah.
Because they do have Zay Jones injured.
They do have Brandon Sheriff. Still, too.
Who?
Alright, but the film room. After that digression, with our college games this week, we have 5 of them, all worth 1 point apiece. Utah, Oregon State.
I'm taking Utah, the Utes.
I'm taking the Utes. All right. Colorado versus USC.
I'm not counting out Mr. Prime and his team just yet, so I'm saying Colorado versus over USC.
You are going to take Coach Prime.
Yes, sir. Shadir knows best, and yes, Travis Hunter's out for a little bit, but come on, man. They had one terrible game. Do you think they're going to have a dumpster fire against USC? Maybe. We'll see, but anything can happen.
I think the snowball keeps rolling because... Okay. The Oregon coach, prior to this past Saturday, never heard of the guy. Because it's not Chip Kelly anymore. But we know who Lincoln Riley is. You know very well where Lincoln Riley, prior to being at USC, came from.
He came from Booner Sooner country.
He was the former Oklahoma coach. He's got a great quarterback in Caleb Williams. And as much as I respect the hustle that is Coach Prime, I'm putting on the Trojan helmet and taking USC.
Fair enough.
Texas versus Kansas.
I'm going to take for once in my life, I'm going to take Kansas because, one, Rock, Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. But also because it's a rare time, and also Kansas football really isn't known for their football. They're known for basketball. But hey, you never know in college football. There's upsets all the time. I think Kansas is going to beat Texas.
Normally, under these certain circumstances, I would be thinking, oh, horns down with Texas. Not here.
Maybe they lock beaks.
Hook 'em. I'm going to say hook 'em. I'm taking the Longhorns.
You're taking the long road.
I'm not taking the long. I'm taking the Texas Longhorns here. LSU versus Ole Miss.
I'm gonna take go Tigers. I'm gonna go LSU.
You're going with LSU.
We'll Ole Miss you later.
This game is played. Okay, so this game is being played in Oxford. And the last 5, LSU has been better, with their only loss being to Florida State.
Yeah, St. Clemson.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Tigers here.
Go Tigers.
I'm in agreement with you here. I'm in agreement here. I'm going with LSU.
And then Notre Dame versus Duke. I'm gonna say Notre.
I am taking the Golden Domers as well. Duke's ranked. This is weird for them to be this way in the football landscape of college, because normally you're seeing a number ranked in there with Duke being basketball. So I am going to take Notre Dame here because I just don't think Duke, the Blue Devils here in this case, are ready for prime time. In the NFL, we're starting off with our 2-pointer this week in the Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills.
And I'm taking the Bills.
This is a shock because I thought you would have taken the Dolphins here.
Well, here's the thing. The Dolphins don't have Jalen Ramsey, and yes, the secondaries are the kryptonite for both Allen and Mahomes, but Allen, I think, will probably prevail. Hopefully it's not like what happened between the Vikings and Dolphins from last year where the punter kicked the dude in the butt and caused like an extra point or whatever. Wasn't it like a safety or whatever in the end zone?
It's something.
Yeah.
But I think I'm in agreement with you on the Bills as well. I thought you would have taken Miami with the Tua and the Tyreek Hill, but I think the Bills have finally woken up in a sense on offense and defense. That I think the Bills have.
Even then, like when they play the Jet, like when the Bills play the Jets, it's kind of like the kryptonite for Allen when it comes to secondary of the Jets. No matter where they play, like if it's at
But I believe the Dolphins still do have Xavier Howard. Even you said they're playing without Jalen Ramsey, but I know they're also playing without Jalen Waddle too.
Yeah, true. That also adds an element for the offense to be less because all they have is Hill and I think like their running backs. But even then, like I feel like Allen's kryptonite is mainly just the secondary / if your front line is strong enough to like contain him through the run, then sure, but he's a freaking tank. There's no way. but when it comes to his throwing, since he's a gunslinger, it's harder for him to like get completions if they're gonna get gobbled up by the corners and secondaries. Kind of like how Mahomes is when it comes to not getting blitzed. Like if you hard lock the secondaries and have them go after like your weapons, like your wide receivers and tight ends and whatnot, they're gonna definitely lock down Mahomes because he's not gonna know which way to go. And if you make him hesitate at all, then that's when you get him to intercept balls and stuff. That's kind of how I played in Week 7, but.
All right, we now go to the Ravens and the Browns.
I'm going Browns because Deshaun Watson is still doing good things over there with the Browns, and it's been an interesting time for Browns fans recently. And I think the Ravens, since last week they barely won,
No,
was
they
it
lost.
them or the Colts?
They lost
Yeah.
the Colts.
The Ravens
they lost
barely
the Colts.
hung on against the Colts, aka lost. I think it's Browns country. Especially since it's at the Cleveland Browns.
I thought I was gonna choose the Ravens, but I think Myles Garrett is gonna be able to find some way to get there, and the Cleveland offense is gonna find some way to figure it out.
Yeah, because they have Amari Cooper and they got Kareem Hunt back from signing him as a free agent.
And you've got David Njoku as well, and
Peoples-Jones, right? Or no, not Peoples-Jones.
yeah, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Yeah, they do have Peoples-Jones.
Okay.
The next one here, I'm taking the Browns as well here. Commanders, Eagles.
I'm taking the Commanders because I feel like they could bounce back and have a big game against their division rival. And they've done it before, but it was later on in the year to make the Eagles undefeated, and I think they could definitely shake things up on the Eagles, because the Eagles haven't been very stable on offense until lately, and obviously as we're recording, they're playing Monday night against the
Tampa Bay.
And they're kicking they're sinking the ship of the Buccaneers as we speak. But I feel like the Commanders could bounce back. They've got time, and so the Eagles, but I don't know if the Eagles fly very far out of their nest in this one. We'll see.
Well, the Eagles are at home in this matchup.
Weren't they at home against the Commanders last time, or was it at the Commanders?
I think so. I think it was at home, but it's early enough in the season that the Commanders still have a lot to iron out. I love my team, but I think these Eagles are just really, really good, and it is a scary matchup up front for a very, very shaky offensive line with that pass rush of the Eagles. And I think that as much as I love it, I think Sam Howell is going to have fits unless Bieniemy decides to scale everything shorter and quicker. And not try too many shots down the field unless the defense really allows for us to. But I think that offense is going to pick apart some of those young defenders that the Commanders have, unfortunately. I'm taking the Eagles.
All right. Buccaneers.
Love my team, but I got to take the Eagles. I'm taking the Saints, even though Derek Carr is week to week. I think that they can fix, and this is with Alvin Kamara back, so we don't know how Rusty's going to be.
He might be okay. I think if anything, the Saints still have their defense. It's just that how's the offense going to react? And I think the Saints will have enough. Like the Buccaneers, yes, they still have Baker and whomever, but
Mike
I don't.
Evans. They still have Mike Evans. They still have Chris Godwin. They still have ways to get the ball.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. All right, Lions Packers.
Lions Packers. I am taking the Lions.
I'm also taking the Lions because the Lions just seem like a more built-up team compared to the Packers currently. Yes, the Packers had a surprising win on a 1-point lead against the Saints last week, but I think the Lions will definitely prove to us all that they are the real team. They're the real deal.
And the wild card lock. We get 2 points if we're right. We lose 1 if we're wrong. Ruckus, out of all the ones that we did not pick, which one are you locking down?
So, Chiefs fans, you're probably gonna hate me for this, but I feel like this is gonna be a truth bomb. The Chiefs are gonna win by the skin of their teeth against the strong secondary of the Jets. I think of that because the Jets, they have Sauce Gardner and many others, and if they can hold their own against Josh Allen, they can sure as hell hold their own against Patrick Mahomes, because they have about the same traits. It's just that one is built like a tank and the other one is just built to be a 2-time NFL MVP and Super Bowl champ. Just saying. They both have about the same traits. Just built different.
Okay. So as for me, the Arizona Cardinals picked up a lot of momentum from their victory over Dallas this past Sunday. I think the 49ers are going to bring that momentum to a screeching halt and remain undefeated as I am taking the 49ers to beat the Arizona Cardinals. And now that we've kind of gone into what next week will look like prediction-wise, let's recap what we saw yesterday, or at least this past week, as we will have in our high heat a few games that we will discuss a key question over, and then in our color commentary we will also find takeaways for some games that we did not discuss here on the high heat. Our first game for the high heat, the Miami Dolphins, the Denver Broncos 20. Does this tell us more about Miami's offense or Denver's defense?
I think this just tells you pretty much what the defense has in store for the Broncos. I think
Or
the
what
Dolphins.
Miami's... Oh, wow. I thought you were going to talk more about Miami's offense, because I know you've been high on them Dolphins.
I think the Miami's offense is good enough, but I was gonna say that the Denver Broncos defense is just not there, and that's pretty obvious from what we saw here. But also, I think it was a revenge game for Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins. So, yes and no, I guess you could say.
Here's what I think. I think this was almost like one of those Mortal Kombat type games, where, like, you know how in Mortal Kombat where you have basically the one character who puts his hand right there on the chest and all of a sudden rips the heart out? This is exactly what Miami just did and sent Denver's defense into a fatality. And a flawless victory at this point. However, I think this is more of a testament to Denver's defense in that the wind got taken out of their sails the week before when the Commanders stormed back. Yes, Washington, I believe, laid the foundation for this old-fashioned butt-kicking that Miami just did. As the Broncos blew a double-digit lead, not just a double-digit lead, like a 3-score lead to the Commanders. How do you do that? I mean, not that the Commanders are terrible. Not that I'm saying that my team is bad and that we shouldn't have won that game, but we probably should not have won that game. But we've ripped it away from them. And we ripped it away from them while Denver was also at home. And this just leads me to believe that something is not quite right. And Denver's got to figure it out quick.
We'll see. Colts Ravens.
The next one, the Colts 22, Ravens 19 in overtime. Have we underestimated Indy or overestimated Baltimore?
I think it's too early to say because with the NFL, there's a lot of parity in the league, and I think the Colts got lucky against the Ravens.
I mean, Justin Tucker missing a 61-yarder, that may not necessarily happen often, but that ground was also... The ground and the weather and the air were not quite great for Baltimore to even try that. Baltimore also going for it on fourth down in a situation where they probably could have sent Justin Tucker out to possibly kick a field goal of that magnitude again. Yeah, that's a little worrisome too. So I think there are things that we've overestimated about Baltimore and some things that I think we're worried about. But I'm going to say that I think we've kind of underestimated the Colts here. In that they kind of are like a gritty... They're kind of one of those gritty little teams. They got Michael Pittman, who's now able to kind of reel in the ball and do some stuff. Even doesn't matter if you've got Richardson or Minshew there. I think he's a little more effective with Minshew, but doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. The Colts
Irsay's
are
going to have the last say in that anyways.
I think that the Colts are going to be like... They're going to be like Carolina, where their record at the end of the day may not be that great, but they're going to find some way to make every single game interesting. And there's a couple of teams that are going to be like that. And another one for me, I think, is going to be the Houston Texans with this. As the Texans beat the Jaguars 37-17. Was this an underperformance of the Jaguars, or did the Texans show a glimpse of what is to come for them in the season?
That's also a tough one, dude. I think the Texans are showing a glimpse of the future, but not what's to come. Like, I think it's more of a showcase rather than a hey, like, this is us right now. I think they got a little lucky, and the Jaguars are a little beat up on defense too. Because would you agree?
I think that the Jaguars, yes, are beaten down on the defensive side of the ball, especially because that's normally what's been their calling card that says, hey, this is why they're going to be good.
Also, I think that, like, even last year when it came to the Texans versus the Chiefs, or whenever the Chiefs went to the Colts, we thought, oh, this is going to be a blowout, and that turns out that the Colts and the Texans were very scrappy teams. They were just waiting on weaknesses to come out to capitalize.
Oh, yeah, the Texans are going to be a team that's going to make it interesting. I think they're showing flashes of what... It may not be even flashes of what is to come for them this season. I think this is flashes of, like, glimpses of what their potential could be down the line. Like, further down the line, beyond this season. Like, this could be something that might turn the Jaguars there. And D'Amico Ryans might be just that right coach, and CJ Stroud to kind of fit in well enough there in Houston to maybe give the Texans a coach quarterback core that can be there for a good while. I think there could be something to it. And this might be all a part of Stroud's progression learning. Simple. I think it's simple as that. Even though the Jaguars may not have been great, I don't think we count out what the Texans are showing right now. And wins like this bring momentum. And that Big Mo is quite a dangerous thing. Especially when it gets going.
With Mo Otto?
Oh. Well, this Big Mo in this case is momentum.
Mo Otto! Sorry, I've been seeing a lot of ads for Mahomes commercials and stuff, and I was making... Never mind.
Oh, you were doing the Mahomes and Motto.
Yep.
Yeah, Packers 18, Saints 17. The question is Jordan Love becoming the quarterback of the future in Green Bay?
I would say that's safe to assume yes, and I don't know who they would trade for or get to replace Jordan Love. I think if anything, they get a backup QB that's like lesser value to back up Jordan Love if they haven't already. But I think that's a no shit Sherlock of Jordan Love becoming the future. Because I think he's been there for a year,
I think Jordan...
even when Aaron Rodgers was there.
Green Bay has had a history of drafting a quarterback earlier than what you anticipate. Let them ride the pine for the current quarterback that's there, and then their time opens up and comes. And this started primarily in the 90s when they had Brett Favre. They bring Brett Favre in. Brett Favre does all right. Gets the two Super Bowls. Wins one of them. Eventually makes his way to this certain point. Attempts to retire, in quotes, the first time. And that door opens up for Aaron Rodgers.
And then he goes to Pennsylvania and then steals a bunch of money. Sorry.
You just took that into the further bits of the Brett Favre saga of it.
Yep.
But I was trying to go along the lines of where the Packers have been. And now it's Jordan Love's turn. And so the Packers have had a great history over the last 20 plus years in quarterbacks coming in and being able to eventually groom ahead and prepare for their time to turn over. This time has come, And I think Jordan Love may very well be it. Granted that he's been playing without Christian Watson, who has not made his 2023 debut yet. So we may not be seeing all of what Jordan Love could be capable of. But I think we're seeing great possibilities. The next game, the Los Angeles Chargers 28, the Minnesota Vikings 24. There's two questions for this one. Is it time to panic for the Vikings? And did Brandon Staley do anything at all, to cool down the hot seat that he's currently still sitting on in LA?
I think it's not time to panic just yet for the Vikings. As far as what Cousins is doing, he's doing his best so far. I think it's just a matter of luck and just trying to get more effort from everyone else, because it seems like it takes a minute for Justin Jefferson to get up there. I haven't heard much from KJ Osborne. He's supposed to be a good doppelganger to help the offense besides TJ Hawkinson. They had the weapons. They just need to keep all cylinders moving. They need to get the oil turning again. They need to change the oil. Brandon Staley with the hot seat cool down, I think he's still on the hot seat for a little bit. It's just a matter of I think you wait till more than midway or after the season to kind of gauge whether or not you want to fire Brandon Staley or not.
Yeah, I don't see anything just yet that screams that you have a fire situation with Brandon Staley, but I think Brandon Staley's seat is still hot, and it's maybe cooled down about a couple of degrees, but it's not much. But I do think it's time for the Vikings to be alarmed. 0-3 does not necessarily translate very well into playoff hopes.
I mean, you could say the same thing about the Chiefs a couple of years ago.
I mean, the Bengals last year. But 0-3 does not necessarily, historically, translate great into playoff hopes. It's normally the one thing that kind of dashes playoff hopes. Simple as that. And the Vikings now have to go and play 0-3 Carolina next week. Are they going to finally be able to do something? Or is Carolina going to be that electric and eventually the Vikings are going to find some way to mess around and find out that Carolina's going to play well? We don't know. But I think the Vikings could be at a point of scrambling of they're not winning the games that they were winning a whole bunch of close games last year, and now they're just not winning them. Sometimes the shoe ends up falling on the other foot. Like, certain situations go the other way, and it tips into the Vikings' favor, and they get it.
Yep.
It's just sometimes the way the cookie crumbles. And on to the games that we have in the color commentary. And these are our takeaways. What do you feel like we took away from the Cleveland Browns' 27-3 victory over the Tennessee Titans?
I think the Titans are definitely not on a good path. I don't think the Browns are treading any deep waters as of now, as far as the drama woes go, I think for sure though the Titans need to rethink their offense. Their defense is okay, but it definitely needs some more work. Like, it's turning into what the Chiefs used to be, where it's like they turned into like a soft butter to where everyone can just go through them. And then also the same thing with their offensive line to their offense, because like Tannehill has not been the same since like a couple of years ago. Derrick Henry definitely is showing his mileage. It just seems like the Titans are lost out there.
Yeah.
As far as
I
go ahead.
I have the Titans are trending downward at a much faster rate than what they anticipated. I mean, Derrick Henry's almost 30. You're at the point now where running backs are having these such steep declines. Like you can tell, like the running back, like when you're having the running backs kind of have to gather together and kind of say, "Hey, we need to get paid because we're franchise running backs." And but yet Derrick Henry, even though he has proven that he is a franchise running back, these franchise running backs aren't like Briggins or Adrian Peterson anymore, where they can run very well into their 30s. So the Titans might be just stuck under an old model that they have to get a new back at some point that can work effectively for their system. And they missed out on an opportunity this past draft to get a guy like a Bijan Robinson, like to try and get a guy like Bijan Robinson, who probably would have fit perfectly. Probably would have fit in like a glove. But like we were saying, I don't think everything is lost for the Browns just yet. Even though they lose Nick Chubb to a torn MCL, I think the Browns have found some way to kind of construct it all together. Is that kind of what I was saying, or what you were about to say, Ruckus?
Yeah, pretty much. You got it spot on. Like the Browns, they're not a loss. They still have Deshaun Watson. You still have your wide receiver core, and you still have Kareem Hunt. Like, it's not all lost, and there's still a lot of like different running backs you can go to as well. Like, you can mix it up in the playbook. It's not like you're just obviously saying like, okay, this is my running back, this is mine, and or it's kind of like saying this is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine, or something like that. But like, this is my running back. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Okay. Well, I'll let you take a Patriots take, and I'll take the Jets take for the Patriots 15, Jets 10. What did you have as a takeaway for the Patriots?
Better team out of the bunch versus the Jets. The Jets kind of looked out of sorts because they have a QB issue, and the Patriots took advantage of it.
Yeah, and simply put, I have that there is a huge void at quarterback for the Jets after Aaron Rodgers went down with his torn Achilles. And Zach Wilson, multiple times, like especially even when he was drafted and initially brought into New York, he's proven himself to be unable to fill the void. There's a huge void. And he's proven unable to fill it, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets either make some sort of trade at the deadline or try and eventually scrounge around and see if they can pull out something for a quarterback. to be able to fill the void that the injury to Aaron Rodgers leaves behind.
Are you
Simple
gonna
as
discount
that.
double check that?
They probably should. And see if they can get some sort of, especially if they get a free agent. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a discount. I'll let you take a take for the Falcons. I'll have the take for the Lions as the Lions win 20-6. What was your take on the Falcons?
Artie Smith needs to be fired. Straight up. Dude doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and yes, he has a draft pick that's like a gold mine in a Bajan Mustard Robinson, but the dude looks like an idiot, and it showed here against the Lions, which is the better team. The Falcons need a better head coach to
But
steer
is he
that ship.
But is he that brainless to be on the Pat McAfee show?
I mean, anyone could be on the Pat McAfee show if you think hard enough. I think Artie, just the way he looks out there on the press and everything, he just looks dumbfounded, and it's not like Coach Prime where it's like you had the enthusiasm in the locker room, and I think Artie is just kind of like a placeholder for a different coach to come in to take over his.
But do you feel like anything is working in his offense?
It would work better if he wasn't there. I think anyone can make it better.
Very anti Arthur Smith. Okay.
He's an idiot. He literally was like, okay, we're gonna use Marcus Mariota, and then he was like, well, Mariota is looking not too bad, and it's like, no shit, dude. Desmond Ridder seems like the new guy, and then he like pulled a more modern version of Ron Rivera saying, oh, I didn't see that Desmond Ridder was there. Kind of like how Ron Rivera was like, oh, I didn't see that Sam Howell was there, even though Sam Howell is definitely a lot better than Taylor Heineke at the moment. Like, damn, should have seen that coming. It's like, no dip, Sherlock. Like, actually look like you're gonna do your job. Put more enthusiasm into it rather than just being like, well, because, isn't going to win you championships. It's going to make you look like a dill hole and kind of put you in the same boat as Mike McCarthy was. Yes, I said it. Mike McCarthy looks like a dill hole, too.
Okay.
Dum-dums don't win you championships. Only some forms of it.
Alright.
He's
And
gotta
then
be
my
more
take
smart
on
with
the
it.
Lions. My take on the Lions here. The parts are going right for Detroit. Like, you're seeing the machine. You're seeing the machine that's gotten. It's like it's gotten the right amount of oil to get it going. It's the right amount of fuel. It's got the good balanced tires. They're making this thing pristine, looking good, playing great, running well.
The Pistons are firing on all cylinders.
And we here at the Ruckus and The Menace podcast are all for it.
We certified Dan Campbell the most influential coach of 2023, confirmed, and Artie Smith is certified rotten.
If not, this is something that's been going on for quite some time.
Can I certify Artie Smith as rotten 2023? That man needs to not have a career in the head coach.
But I'm also even talking not just what Dan Campbell's doing on the coaching side. Jared Goff playing effectively on the quarterback side, hitting guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown.
In all seriousness,
Sam Laporta has has been a great draft pick. Jahmyr Gibbs has been an effective draft pick. Jack Campbell on the other side being an effective draft pick. They're doing a lot. They're putting all the right pieces together to make this puzzle and the big picture that Detroit is having look spectacular.
And also, not to mention that Goff has done this before with the Rams, like with the McVay. Whenever he had his one of his, I don't even think Goff was a rookie then, but it was right.
It was within his first couple of years of the league because he had guys. I think Gurley might have still been there. He had Cooper Kupp. He had Bobby Tree. I think Cooks might have been on that team. He had a couple of different things, but also on the other side, he had guys like Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Was Marcus Peters on that squad too, or was he in Baltimore by then? There were a whole bunch of players that they had.
He was on the Rams. He was on the Rams because I remember it was they were at the Coliseum whenever they had that Monday Night Football record high scoring game at the Coliseum, which originally was supposed to be in Mexico, but hurricane season happened and flooded the
Estadio
field.
Azteca.
Yeah, because it was originally supposed to be in Mexico, and then they had to move it to the Coliseum because of that storm, and so that turned into a very high-scoring game, and it was Goff versus Mahomes, and Goff and eventually was the one to come out barely unscathed against Mahomes. I think it was like over a touchdown. I think because I think the Rams won it by a touchdown, and then Mahomes got intercepted by the Rams, and then that was the game.
Yeah, but ultimately, just there's something there going on in Detroit that Dan Campbell has established over the last few years, and now I believe we are now starting to see what the great production of the fruits of the labor that has gone on, front office making the right draft picks and Dan Campbell being the right coach for this team. And we're seeing the fruits of it pay off. We're seeing the payoffs.
Yes.
And could this go to a playoff appearance? I think so. I hope so.
I think you at least get into the wild card.
Oh, no doubt. But I think even at this point, with the Vikings kind of trending as they are, I think this even could be a division win for Detroit if they continue to keep this thing on a roll. They still got to have their heads on a swivel, but if they can keep this thing rolling, this very well could be saying the Detroit Lions will win the NFC North. As bold as it to say, but with the way the Vikings are trending, the Packers being a major unknown, I think that this Thursday between the Lions and Packers is going to be a very fun way to showcase what's possible for what Green Bay brings to the future, to their future, and what Detroit's bringing into their right now. So I think we've got ourselves a little bit of a display of what's to come later on this week.
That's for sure. I think definitely for sure they just have to stay healthy, because Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he's not healthy, you're kind of screwed.
All right. The takeaway here. I'll let you take the Seahawks. I'll take the Panthers as the Seahawks defeat Carolina 37-27. What do you have on the Seahawks?
I don't have a whole lot other than it seems like due to the scoring that happened, the Seahawks still a little bit better than the Panthers by winning by 10 points. To me, it sounds like the Panthers have more research to do as far as how their team is going to congeal. The Seahawks seem to be getting in the right direction as they're doing well enough offensively, and it sounds like Jamal Adams is coming back for week 7, or not week 7, week 4. Right? Yeah.
Here's where I'm at. The Panthers may be 0-3, but they're a team that can continue to make things interesting. They were like this last year, even after they fired Matt Rule, who was absolutely horrendous. And Steve Wilkes kind of had the Carolina Panthers believing that they were interesting. And Bryce Young and now Andy Dalton being able to play effectively in this Frank Reich offense. That Carolina might be playing better football than what their record may lead on, because a 27-point game, depending on the situation, that's a winner in more games than not. I mean, Seattle being able to score on their defense, Carolina without J.C. Horn is a little nuts, but Carolina, they're a team that's going to be able to make things look interesting, and I think a team that could very well, with proper analysis and scouting in this year's draft, and being able to find some key positions of need with the value at their high picks. If they draft like Detroit's done over the last couple of years, some fireworks might be going on in Carolina. We may be overlooking how they're playing right now. And they will be able to make something interesting with Minnesota next week. And this is a Minnesota team that's kind of reeling. Carolina, we knew they would be down here at 0-3. Minnesota, we'd be thinking they'd be sitting about 2-1. 2-1 at this point. So Carolina could be playing spoiler maybe a lot sooner than what we anticipated. Is kind of where I'm at. I'll let you have a take on the Cardinals. I'll take the Cowboys. Cardinals 28, Cowboys 16.
Cardinals, I don't know how to feel about some of these teams when it comes to the ones, because the Cardinals seem like the team that is supposed to be kind of like the Oakland A's of football. They're not meant to really do a whole lot for their teams, yet they end up being teams that were slated every year to do better, like the Cowboys. Every year it seems like, oh, the Cowboys are going to do this or that or whatnot, and then the meme is, oh, they haven't won a Super Bowl since Jessica Simpson's been alive, or something crazy stat like that. By the way, I don't know if that's really true, but you know what I mean, dumb stats where it's oh, they haven't won this or that since forever ago. With the Cardinals, it's okay, well, we got rid of most of our good people, and then Kyler Murray is still in the injured reserve for a little bit until he gets done with his ACL recovery. So I don't know what to think of this. Like I said, I feel like the NFL has a lot of parity in the league, and there's just a bunch of randomness that happens, and it happens every year. And I think it all just comes down to scrappiness at the end, but also a little bit of luck. So the changes offense for Dallas is kind of just, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
all up in the air.
my take on Dallas is that these changes that they've made to the offense, I have a mixed reaction on it. And I say this even though now the Cowboys have lost. The changes looked incredible against the Giants. The changes looked good looked good last week. They were last week against the Jets. This is the first time where Jonathan Gannon has made a defensive game plan, and the defense has and the Cardinals defense, which is really where it's like the Cardinals defense is they're sleeper good. The Cardinals defense is quietly one of the most improved things, especially with all of these defending units that were brought in, like that Gannon was able to bring over from Philadelphia. And such a quiet bring over, bringing in players like Kaiser White. So I think that Dak in having to change his philosophy on quarterbacking based on what this offensive coordinator is doing with Dallas has done some good, but Dak still is very prone to mistakes like he's always been. And it all comes down to which Dak Prescott shows up. And this past game, this is where the downsides of Dak are. And the Cardinals were able to expose that. Tony Pollard had a great game. Granted, a lot of touches, but a great game. But beyond that, what else did the Cowboys really do? I mean, the loss of Trayvon Diggs kind of hurt them.
Yeah, especially at the beginning of the week too.
Oh yeah, and they were able to and the Cardinals' passing attack was just able to dog the Cowboys' secondary. Simple as that. I think that Carolina is a team that can make some noise. Arizona is another one that now they've messed around and gotten a win. Granted that they face San Francisco next week, where I think they will get knocked down to earth. But it's not without a defense that's going to be scary tough. And there are teams that have scary tough defenses in this league. The Cardinals are much more entertaining than what we were. I thought in week 1 they played very, very dirty. But some of that dirt might be really what makes them incredibly entertaining, incredibly hard-hitting, and something, and that could give them an identity of themselves.
Yep.
I think the Dallas secondary got dogged. I think that Dak is mistake prone. And the Cowboys next week, they go and play the Patriots, where Mac Jones can and has shown capability that he can dog a secondary that is exposed. He threw for, because he had that big passing game against the Eagles, granted with a whole lot of throws, but Mac Jones has shown that he can do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, are we ready for...
Yep, let's go ahead and close this thing out with the stud and dud, and I'll let you go ahead and start.
All right, so for my stud, I'm going to go with Travis Kelce putting the ball in Taylor Swift's court, aka Tay-Tay, and also Taylor Swift being there at Arrowhead in attendance. Travis Kelce originally said that he put the ball in her court by saying that she rocked the crowd at Arrowhead, and now he's gonna play a ball. He should watch him, or she should watch him play ball at Arrowhead. So that was like the original thing, and then she showed up, and she was with them for most of the weekend. So God knows they're together, I guess. I don't know.
Honestly, it could be something where they've been talking, and it's kind of like that starting, like the early, like this is still the early stages. Is there really much of anything that should matter at this point?
No.
Honestly, no. All of this should be taken with that pinch of salt. That pinch of salt that's right there underneath your finger, right there in between your fingers. Is it really that important?
Nope.
No. Do really most of us NFL fans care? No. There's people on Barstool that are like, oh, Travis Kelce's late. Like, have you listened to the New Heights podcast? Have you listened to the Big Yeti speak? Have you kind of caught on that this guy is quite a colorful personality? Entertaining, can make somebody laugh. Do you not understand the nature that is Travis Kelce, who is marketable, who has a sense of humor, who has charisma, who has different things that can be considered either off-putting and cringeworthy or attractive to the opposite gender?
That's what people say. Ooh. Anyways,
Shut up.
My dud.
Your dud's kind of been mentioned already.
So the Broncos were torn apart by the Dolphins and the Mike McDaniel's revenge tour, as that's what people say. Ooh.
Wait, why was this a revenge tour for Mike McDaniel again?
Because he was the ball boy originally for the Denver Broncos. There was even a video way back when showing him interviewing with, I guess, a reporter, and he was talking about how he was the Broncos ball boy, and now he's getting his revenge because, he used to be a Bronco. And now he's like, screw you, Broncos. I'm gonna stomp you guys and get a 50-point lead off of you guys and then make you look bad.
Is it really a revenge tour or kind of a homecoming?
It's more of just me making tabloids at this point. Making something out of a nothing burger.
Sometimes that's not always the best thing, because even when you try to make something out of nothing, nothing really is still coming out of it.
Well, we are never ever getting back together. Sorry, another Taylor.
Will
crappy.
you stop it with the Taylor Swift stuff? Like,
I'm sorry, it's stuck in
just
my
because
head.
you have now brought this energy of Taylor Swift over here that did not necessarily need to go here.
I'm
Into
sorry,
this
it won't happen
episode.
again, Dad. I'm sorry.
One of these things is not like the others. That wasn't where I was going. Shut up. Anyway, my stud this week, I have an honorable mention in former Colts quarterback Andrew Luck in his appearance on Amazon Prime in an interview after the 49ers Giants game, in a segment where he was playing into the Captain Andrew Luck meme for his interview. And it looks incredibly stupid. And all the things he says, incredibly stupid. Because he's just like, the war is over, and it looking like he's in the Civil War. But I'm like, we have now taken the quarterback that replaced Peyton Manning in Indianapolis and have resorted into turning him into a meme. Again, like the Taylor Swift stuff we were dealing with earlier, we put something over here that was completely unnecessary, this energy over here that was not needed, and we just need to just yeet it out of here. Although Andrew Luck did a great job of playing into this still turning this incredibly talented quarterback who retired early into a meme is stupid.
I like how you said you yeeted it into a corner.
Just, dude. But now, to the real stud of the week. I have Braves outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. for becoming the newest member of the 40-40 club in baseball and becoming the first. He's the fifth member to do so, and he's the first one since Alfonso Soriano in 2006 to accomplish the feat. This now makes me feel old because this is the first person that has had 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases in a season since I was in high school. Yes, I was a junior in high school when Alfonso Soriano did it. Or when Alfonso Soriano finished it. Daggone it, I'm old.
Yep.
But my dud this week goes to Bears quarterback, to the quarterback of the dumpster fire known as the Bears, Justin Fields, for throwing his coaching staff under the bus and saying that they were causing him to play robotic. And yet, on Sunday, they still lose. They still get the break speed off of him. And he is again unproductive. Which kind of now leads me to ask the question, how long will you wait, Chicago, to then all of a sudden say, the season is dead, Justin, take a seat, let's see what we have in this quarterback that we brought in as who probably is more than likely QB2, and he's wearing number 17 in Tyson Bagent. How long is the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia going to wait? How long are we going to wait until the Bears just say, we're going to throw caution to the wind. Justin Fields is not doing it for us. This ain't it, Chief. Tyson, you're up.
Yeah.
I think it's probably gonna be much later into the season than what really comes about it, because I think Justin will all of a sudden eventually win some games somewhere along the way, because Chicago will always find some way to win ones that they shouldn't. But this team is a complete dumpster fire. This is where the Commanders were at a few years ago. The Bears are where the Commanders were about 5 years ago. Figure out your problems before it ends up being 5 years too late.
Yep.
Ruckus, go ahead and take us out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Ruckus and The Menace Sports Podcast. I am Ruckus.
And I'm Ruckus the Menace.
Thank you for listening and bearing with us. It was definitely a weird couple weeks. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. Leave a like on the podcast if you like it. Comment letting us know whatever questions you have and or just curiosities you have. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep. Videos coming Friday. Deuces.